Hello everyone, I'm Santiago, and today I'm gonna be testing EarthFall on the GeForce GTX 1060 3GB. For performance monitoring, I'll be using CAM. If you want to download the software, there's a link down in the description. So EarthFall, I'll be doing 1080p, 1440p and 4K. To skip none of those sections of the video, check the timestamps down in the description. So well, first of all, I'll show you 1080p using the maximum settings on the G4560. After that, I switched to the i3 8100 using exactly the same settings. You'll notice a couple times that it can drop below 60 frames per second, maybe into the mid 50s. I don't really think it's a big deal, but if you do, just lower shadows from epic to high and that should fix the issue all around. Then I switched to 1440p and I show you my 60 FPS configuration, which means that I'll lower shadows to medium, post-process to low, anti-aliasing quality to medium and effects quality to high, in order to try and maintain a constant 60 frames per second. When there's a lot going on, there might be a couple drops into the mid 50s, but nothing major if you ask me. Then I just crank up the settings to the max to see what frame rate we get. And finally at 4K, since it was impossible to maintain 60 frames per second even by using the lowest settings, I show you a configuration to get the best graphics possible, trying to avoid any drops below 30 frames per second. Unfortunately, they can happen when there are a ton of enemies on screen on a place with a lot of trees and grass, but for the most part it maintains over 30 frames per second. I overclocked the GTX 1060 at the 4K footage. At 1080p and 1440p, the overclock is completely disabled. So well, in the options menu, we have usually the same options as Unreal Engine 4 games, so it's been a pretty similar experience to other games in order to tweak it. First of all, I lower shadows. I usually lower them to medium. If you go below medium, you have no shadows. So on low, there are no shadows at all. My recommendation here, if you're trying to get 60 frames per second, just lower it to medium. Then the post-process option. Lowering this option doesn't have a huge performance uplift unless you lower it to the low setting. Medium, high and epic on post-process don't make much of a difference in performance, but once you lower it to low, it is a massive FPS boost. That's because when you put low, ambient occlusion is completely disabled. So yeah, keep that in mind. If you don't mind ambient occlusion being turned off and you want a good FPS boost, just lower post-process to low. And those are the two major options that I would just keep in mind if I want better performance. On effects quality, if you lower it below high, you won't have screen space reflections. So in some places where there's water, you have some screen space reflections, including your weapons. So if you put effects quality below high, you won't have any screen space reflections. Lowering that is a small FPS boost depending on where you are. And then the other options I didn't mention, just lower them in groups. That should give you a decent FPS boost if the other options are already lowered to the minimum. And that's pretty much the options menu. Not really hard to tweak. I just lower shadows and post-process from the get-go, and on most cards that's the best results. And well, the parts where I got the worst performance were when there were a ton of enemies on screen. The enemies that throw acid at you or something like that, especially places with a lot of trees, a lot of grass, all that kind of stuff. But yeah guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you keep enjoying the video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.
Combat rifle here! Set up the barricade.
One coming! Pressure down! Let's do whiplash! It's a pressure! Get Roy away from that thing! Whiplash is dead! Pressure down! Hang on, reloading!
This is the right place, but check around.
Zapper!
This must be Zippy's house, not his house. Let's keep it moving. Combat rifle here! There's a path there. Pry those boards up.
while I reload!
Cannon here! Set up the barricade. Get ready! Grenade! Grenade!
One less whiplash.
Help! Get it off! This is the right place, but looks like the wrong place. This must be Zippy's house, not a secret. Combat rifle here!
Beast! Bring it down fast!
There's a path there. Let these boards up.
It's all good. It's a thresher! I can't move. I need help. Hey, Jonas needs help! I clearly need bigger guns. I'm hurt! Things are getting blurry!
Reloading!
Hey, it's a combat rifle! There's a barricade here. Everybody, reload while you can!
Hey, Ranger, over there! Watch out! Whiplash now! Pressure! Watch out! Get off of me!
Throwing a grenade!
Yeah, take that!
Guys, I know this is the address for Zippy's storage, but it's just a house. I bet the answer's inside. I figured it out. This isn't Zippy's storage, it's just Zippy's house. Let's keep going. Hey! It's a combat rifle! On the back exit. To the fourth credit.
Take that! There's an Ranger. Take it out!
Sapper! No more sapper!
Gotta reload!
Reloading! Cover me! I found a combat shovel.
Probably a good reason to knock that roadblock down. Let's check that out.
Maya's in trouble!
Whiplash down! There's a gun over here! Anyone need a vendetta?
Stretcher!
Draw crowd! That's one pressure! Blast down! God, I hate that stuff! That's the place Danny tracked down. Except it's a totally ordinary house. There's an answer around here someplace. This is Zippy's house, not Zippy's story. Onward. We need to keep moving in this direction. Bust those boards loose. We got the whiplash!
Get this screw off me! It burns!
Reloading!
kid still got a daddy. Thanks to you.